Hi friends, it's Claire from ScrappyNerdUK and welcome to a layout for Hey Little Magpie. So I had the pleasure of being asked to guest design for them, and I chose this collection to work with, and this is the Mermaid Dreams collection by Echo Park. And I love anything whimsical, so mermaids, unicorns, I'm all over it. So I am starting my layout by having up. I thought I'd theme my photographs to the collection. So I've got some photographs from going to an aquarium, and I've got loads of aquarium photographs hanging around, and not really a collection that's suited to scrapping them. So I decided to get these ones scrapped with this collection. So I've started off with a 3-inch punch, and I've grabbed out a 2-inch and a 1-inch as well. And I'm just going to go through and punch out some circles in some of the different 12 by 12 papers from the collection. And I'm going to use this ocean one. I can't remember the name of the paper. I'm going to use this ocean one to back my white cardstock. I was going to put the circle straight on to this paper, but it just looked a bit busy. I wanted it a bit cleaner. So I've just skipped ahead here. I've stuck down my white cardstock and I've just lifted the edges all the way around just to give it some interest around the edges so it doesn't all look so flat. Now I'm going to make a start on embellishing some of the circles. Now the whole point with the circles to me is I wanted a layout that looked like bubbles. So I punched the circles and I'm going to lay them in as much of a bubble formation as I can up the page. So I'm going to start by, as I said, I'm going to start by embellishing some of the circles. So I add on this little mermaid from the 12 by 12 sticker sheet, and this really cute jellyfish as well from the same sticker sheet. So I've got there's 2 different chipboard packs. So I've used one of the sentiment pieces from that, and I'm just going through, and I think there's 2 ephemera packs as well, which I've only got one of them. I'm just going through now, just choosing the bits that I want to use, just auditioning some of these pieces. Some of them make it, some of them don't. So I'm just going through the bits that I think I might use. And now I'm going to start laying my circles where I think I might want them to go. So originally I just had the pattern paper, the bubbles one, and you see in the left there the pattern with all the shells and starfishes on. Those it was just too busy, and I wanted them to specifically look like bubbles. So the bit that I gutted out of the middle of the pattern paper from the background, I've used that to punch out some other circles from as well. And that helps tie the outside colours in as well. So next up, to really help them make them look like bubbles, I'm just coming in with a white gel pen. So this is a Uniball Signo Broad, and it's probably my favourite white pen to use. And I'm even doing it on some of the photos as well. She might make it onto all of the photos. I can't remember. So I'm just adding the white pen there just to help the circles look like bubbles. I do use a black pen on some of them as well because the white doesn't show up well enough. And I'm just going to skip forward on here. Now I've gone ahead and stuck all of my circles down, and what I've done on some of them is I've put foam behind a few of them, and that really helps with the shadows and the dimension around the page as well, because otherwise it'll just look really flat. So yeah, I've added in some foam behind some of them. Next up, I'm coming back in with the little chipboard accents, and these little fish and the little fish and the little seahorse, they were so cute. So they're going to make an appearance on this layout. So I'm just trialing where I want to put them. That little seahorse there that I'm moving around the page, I decide that because the photograph on the bottom right is of a seahorse, I want that one to sit there. So I'm just going to move them around. And that little purple puffer fish just above the photo of me is so cute. So they make it onto this layout. And another little fish there. I do have to go back and add some wet glue on these. Always the way with chipboard, because guaranteed it's gonna the glue will dry up and it will fall off. So always add a bit of wet glue when you're working with chipboard. And next I am using the 6x6 paper pad, and there's these little cutter parts in the paper pad, and I decide to punch that out as well, but they're not big enough for the 2-inch punch. So I've got a little bit of a flat edge, and I'm going to come back to that bit in a second. So these are the stamps from the same collection, and I decide that I'm going to add the bubbles in. Now you saw me rubbing the stamp on the back of my hand. The natural oils that you have in your skin helps to prime the stamps. So this is the first time I've used them when I'm doing this video. So I just rubbed it on the back of my hand, and it helps to prime the stamp, and it helps you to stamp a lot better when you're using them for the first time. So what I'm doing here, I'm using Distress Oxide in Wilted Violet. I want to say that's what it's called. And all I'm doing is I'm stamping off the colour first onto a scrap piece of white cardstock, and then I'm using the second printed image, because I don't want them to be as bright, and I want them to be a bit faded like what I've got. I want the bubbles to look like they're faded, so otherwise the purple colour would just be too overpowering. So I'm just going to add in a few of those, and then I also come in with the peacock feathers, which is probably my favourite of all of the distress inks. And you don't necessarily need the oxide inks for this, just normal distress inks will do as well, but these are the ones that I had on hand. So again, I'm just stamping off onto a scrap of cardstock, and then not re-inking, I'm then re-stamping that actually onto my layout to get that lighter tone. And just adding in a few more bubbles here into some of those blank spaces. I forgot to stamp off on that first one. Now on the left you can see there it says Mermaid, and I think it says off duty. Yeah, it does, Mermaid off duty. And I just pressed down far too hard on my layout, so I made a bit of a boo-boo, but I am going to fix that, and I'm going to cover it up with something else shortly. And this stamp here, I love it. It says just keep swimming, and that's the whole reason that I wanted the stamps as well. So I used the stamp once at the bottom of my layout, and I'm really sorry that this is off screen. I had problems with the footage for this whole layout, so I'm a bit at the end of my tether with this whole thing, so it's annoyed me that it's a little bit off screen, but you can see the whole process really of what I'm doing here. I'm just building up little patterns, little bits here and there. So I'm just using this starfish stamp, which is so cute, and I'm just going around my page, adding them in the little blank areas around the circles. And I like the pop of black. For me, there wasn't enough black in the layout, and the edges just looked a bit bare. Now I could have gone round with a fine line pen and added a doodly border, but I thought I would use the just keep swimming stamp, and I'm going to do a repeat stamp technique all the way around the edge, just leaving a small gap in between, just so you can see exactly what it says. That worked out pretty well in terms of spacing there. If you do try this technique and you find that you're going to sort of run off the edge, then make sure you put down a scrap of cardstock so you can catch any runoff if you don't want your stamp to hit a certain part of your page. So cover up what you don't want it to stamp onto, and then go for it. So the last one's going in here. Can't remember if I do I think I do the bottom as well. I was trying to decide whether I wanted to do it or not, but I think I just went for it in the end. And I like the way that the repeat stamping then helps contain the layout. Your eyes aren't wandering off the edge of the white page. So, yep, that's a little technique that I like to do. And I just love that stamp, so I think I'm going to get quite a lot of use out of it. And I used the stamp that said, always be yourself, unless you could be a mermaid, then always be a mermaid, in the bottom right hand corner as well. And yeah, these stamps are amazing, so they're so versatile. So I'm glad to have those in my collection. Next up, this is where I'm just coming in with a black pen to add some of the detail for the bubbles. As I said, that white pen really wasn't showing up on these lighter pattern papers, so I'm going to use a black pen as well to get the definition. And because we've got the black going around the edge of the page, that helps tie all the black in together, so it's not that the black on the bubble stands out. And then where I'd messed up on that stamping, that is exactly where I'm going to pop that other piece that I'd punched out of the 6x6 paper pad. And I think that's going to get some foam behind it as well. Yep, once I messed around peeling the tape off the paper off the back of the tape. And this layout I think is pretty much done. I don't think there's much else I add to it. So thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all again probably sooner than you think with another video. I'll see you all soon. Bye!